Substituting structural timber products on already consented plans is a straightforward process, and by following the right procedure, you can avoid complications down the road. This video aims to make the process of substitution a lot easier to understand, more relatable, and will highlight what to look out for throughout the process by providing a simple step-by-step guide to help make for a successful outcome and to give you the confidence that the right processes are in place before making a substitution on a building project. So let's get into it. Imagine you're in the middle of constructing a residential dwelling. The project is proceeding smoothly, but you've realised that some product adjustments are necessary. You want to swap out a certain structural timber component, like beams or columns, with different materials. Or maybe you need to change the grade of the timber from an SG grade to an LVL product with similar or stronger properties. Step 1. Eligibility. Before making any changes, your first task is to determine whether your proposed alterations fall under the definition of a minor variation. Now let's take a look at the Building Act 2004 under Regulation 3 and what it states as a minor variation. The substitution of a comparable product is a minor variation if A. The products achieve an equivalent level of performance, having regard to their design, installation, intended use, and maintenance. And B. It is not likely to affect the compliance of other parts of the building work with the building code. And C. The consequences of failure due to the product substitution would not be significantly worse than a failure caused by the failure of the original product. In essence, you need to ensure that the changes don't significantly deviate from the original plans and specifications you obtained the building consent for. Step 2. BCA approval. If the alteration falls within the definition of a minor variation, the task is often to provide supporting documentation and obtain approval from the building inspector or the building consent authority before the product substitution is installed. In some cases, for very simple minor variations, they may be able to be approved on site by the building inspector, who will make an official note of the variation on their inspection documents. To determine what a simple variation would be, let's have a look at a typical example on structural graded timber SG6, SG8 and SG10. These are generic grades written into the timber design standard. Most timber suppliers stock these grades, which are clearly identified on the product. Therefore, if one of these grades specified on the plans needs to be changed from one timber supplier's branded stock to another supplier's brand, then no supporting documentation is required because they all carry the same generic timber properties across the board. However, it is best practice to make the building inspector aware of this change. Another common example of a simple variation is where substitution of bottom plate hold downs occur. Supply or preference issues may mean swapping bolted connections for alternative metal fixings. Provision of technical product information illustrating comparable loading data could well be approved during a site visit by the building inspector. But when it comes to a minor variation where you may need more than just a conversation with your building inspector, supporting documentation will need to be provided. The supporting document often comes in the form of a company producer statement. A producer statement, commonly referred to as a PS1, or supporting calculations on the variation from a chartered professional engineer. This is commonly provided by the product supplier of the potential substitution. And a product certificate from the supplier is also a generally accepted form of documentation. So let's look at a common situation that falls within the minor variation definition and requires supporting documentation. The builder, because of supply reasons, wants to substitute Company A's LVL product to Company B's LVL product. The supporting documentation should be provided under one of the following steps where applicable. 1. A comparison chart showing the relevant strength properties of Company B's product being equal to or greater than that of Company A's product. 2. A selection chart or design program output certified by a chartered professional engineer indicating clear evidence that the substituted LVL product is a compliant replacement. And 3. Where special engineering design is required, such as in the case of heavy point loads or multiple loadings on a lintel, a PS1 by a chartered professional engineer would be required proving compliance. This same process should be followed when substitution involves other engineered wood products as well. Approval would then be sought from the consenting authority or building inspector, providing them with the documentation that supports this. For self-certifying builders, it is highly advised that you follow the same verification process when carrying out a minor variation. Records of your compliance documents should be kept and ensure that all parties involved in the project are kept fully informed of any changes made. Step 3. Consequences. What are the consequences of making this change? Are there any other parts to the structural building that will be negatively affected by this minor variation? A simple example of this is the effect of the structural fixings on the substitution of a timber lintel or beam. Let's take a beam that has been designed in solid laminated veneer lumber and is to be substituted with a glulam product. The fixing to the supports has been designed using two metal nail-on plate connectors. The loading value of the nail-on plate into the laminated veneer lumber could well be different than that same fixing going into a glulam product. So it's important that the supplier of the glulam product ensures that the fixings applied are adequate for the loads involved. Making sure all of the aspects of the minor variation are dealt with at the same time is really important to ensure a hassle-free process. It's crucial for all parties involved in the building process to be informed and, more importantly, approve these changes. The parties that I'm talking about here are the designer or engineer, the product supplier, the builder, and the homeowner. So again, transparency and clear communication to all parties on the proposed variation, but most of all approval of the variation, must be required. A final point to make around this is that any of these parties mentioned can initiate a variation request. But again, they should keep others informed and all parties must be in agreement. So, to summarise what we've talked about in this video, here are the key takeaways. Eligibility. For simple variations around using the same generic timber grades, no approval is required. In the case of simple fixing substitutions, providing adequate technical information for alternative products could make variation approval quicker during on-site building inspections. Does the variation you're wanting to make fall within the definition of a minor variation in accordance with the Building Act? If yes, then your next job is to seek BCA approval to make sure that the minor variation can be approved. Your supporting documents from the product supplier, engineer, or your PS1 are key to getting this across the line. And lastly, approval from all parties. Clearly communicate to all parties for the reasons of the proposed variation for the building project, and make sure you have their approval. Getting this process right is essential, as incorrect handling of substitutions, as we know, can lead to many complications. Properly managing minor variations can save time and potentially result in better project outcomes. So, for more detailed information and resources, simply jump on to the MBIE website.